just been connected to the largest spiritual network on the planet, The Jeffrey Daugherty Show. Jeffrey Daugherty. Sink or swim, deep end information, parabiblical research, spiritual technologies, personal empowerment. Be your own guru. Guide your own spirit. Master your own ascension. And now, showing you how, here's Jeffrey Daugherty.
Well, hello, folks. Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower, back with you, ready to break off another earth-shattering, paradigm-shifting, really paradigm-destroying program here today. Cliff sent me some nice new voiceover material. I need to incorporate that in just as soon as I'm feeling back to snuff. I'll get that up. Thanks so much for that, Cliff Desmond. I appreciate you more than you understand. Today I'm going to be reading, and we're going to be studying, and we're going to be looking at the book of Revelation. And I feel like I need to say some things about the book of Revelation before we get into it. You know, the Bible as a whole, really, when you think about it, over the past 2,000 years, has been a book of hope in some cases, a book of good news in some cases, a book of inspiration in many cases. But I would submit to you that far more, the Bible has been a book of control and fear. Afraid of a mean God, afraid of an angry God. There's an excellent post on www.imnck.com about the mental effects of belief in an angry God. I encourage you to go and check that out. And there's a lot of fear about messing up and having God throw a lightning bolt down about you. There's a lot of fear about sinning. There's a lot of fear about, am I good enough? Even after you've become quote unquote saved, you've got to wonder, am I good enough? Am I doing enough? Am I going to make it? Am I going to have to go through purgatory? Or am I going to be able to be, kicking up gold dust on Glory Avenue, as they say? So lots of fear wrapped up in the Bible. And the capital F in the fear in the Bible is the book of Revelation. And notice that it is not the book of Revelations, it's the book of Revelation. There is no S. Sorry, pet peeve of mine. But the book of Revelation has generated more fear, more worry, more sleepless nights, more sweaty palms than arguably any other part of the Bible. And folks, you don't have to be too much of a spiritual giant to understand that anything that engenders fear and dread and horror is most likely not of the high vibration of the God-like source. So I believe that the Bible as a whole, that's the dung that Jefferson was talking about, the fear, the control, the outright absurdities. And the book of Revelation, by and large, is a book of propaganda launched by the powers that be, building this Christian iteration of the Abrahamic faith. It's a book of propaganda, a book of fear, and a book designed to keep you afraid. In spite of that, the gods, the Elohim, have managed to ensure that there were and is some profitable doctrine sprinkled throughout the Bible, the New Testament, and even within the book of Revelation. So we're going to look at the book of Revelation today. I'm going to be looking at the 12th verse, talking about the Lord Yahweh, the serpent, the dragon. I believe as we get through today, my back is almost better, and the lack of use on my throat is obviously becoming a little bit apparent, so just bear with me if you will. But Revelation chapter 12, chapter 13 are two of the chapters within the book of Revelation that actually are not absurdities, that are not written by lower, weaker minds, as Jefferson would say, but actually do have a use and worth to us because they tell the story of Yahweh, the Lord, his war on religion and the actual rise of Christian persecution. So we're going to dive into Revelation chapter 12. And I'm going to go through this. And I love it when people say, oh, Daugherty's not a Bible scholar, as if my Bible college degree is not as good as their Bible college degree. But you don't have to be a Bible scholar anymore, folks. If you can work the internet and a mouse, you can be a Bible scholar, because you can go to the interlinear Greek and English New Testament, any one of those online. You can see the exact Greek words translated into English. You can even click on the Greek words, find out exactly what their meaning is, and then you can even click on that further and find out what the original meaning, the root word, is. So everybody can be a Greek and a Hebrew scholar now. You don't have to have one of those secret decoder rings from some cemetery. Seminary. So anyway, Revelation chapter 12, there appeared a great wonder in the heavens. There appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman. There appeared a wonder in heaven, a woman. Now, I'm going to kind of go through this and break it down into the original language and the direct rendering from the Greek to English. And again, you don't have to have a secret decoder ring. You don't have to be a certain cut above. You can just go on the internet, do some research, and look it up yourself. So there was a great sign that was seen in the heavens. And it was a woman, and you get into that deep, you see that means the progenitor of humanity. So there was a great sign in the heavens. The creation, the progenitor of humanity, was clothed or enshrouded with glory. The progenitor of humanity was clothed and enshrouded with glory. Takes your mind right back to Genesis 1:26 and 27, where the Elohim said, we're going to create mankind, which obviously includes womankind, thank goodness. And we're going to include that, we're going to create them in our image. So the same glory, the same honor, the same as the Bible here says, glory that the Elohim have is also bestowed upon humanity. So there appeared a sign in the heavens. I'm excited. I'm trying to get a little more Nori-like in my voice. There was a sign in the heavens, the woman, the progenitor of humanity, clothed, enshrouded with glory, the glory of the elves, not the elves, but the elves, E-L's, Elohims, leading our minds back to Genesis 1:26 and 27. And we were also shrouded with light. The moon was under her feet, as if her foot was upon the neck of a foe. I think of the moon gods. And there's a lot of study to be there that humanity was able to place their foot on the throat of the moon gods and on the moon. And you start thinking about the stuff that David Icke teaches. You start thinking about the who built the moon. You start thinking about all the speculations of what's going on in the moon. And it's very interesting that humanity, via the glory that's been shared with us by the Els, the Elohim, we are said to be having our foot on the throat of the moon as a foe. Very interesting. And that humanity was crowned, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Now this word crown is very interesting. It's actually the word wreath, as in, a woven wreath. It speaks of a natural thing, and it's the wreath of royalty, natural royalty, honored royalty, true royalty. And then on her head was a crown of 12 stars. It makes us wonder, are there 12 Elohim? And those of you that know about numerology, 3 plus 9 equals 12. So you got 3, 3, 3. You got 4 threes there. Are there 12 L's? Are there 4 L's? I don't know, but there's some interesting speculation there as well. So the woman, humanity, appeared in heaven, our foot upon the neck of the moon god. We have a wreath upon our head, and it has 12 stars in it, representative of what, I'm not sure, but I think it's the 12 Elohim. That's my guess at this point, and until I know better, that's what I'm going to go with. But at least I have enough intellectual fortitude to tell you that it is at this point just a guess. It's good stuff, though, that's for sure. And humanity was ready to produce, was ready to procreate humanity. So humanity's here, humanity's blessed, humanity's powerful, humanity's ready to procreate, ready to go forth and be growing. And so there appeared another wonder in heaven. We're in verse 3. So there appeared another great sign in the heavens, and behold, it was a great red dragon. When we break that down in the original languages, it means it was a fabulous fiery serpent. It was a fabulous fiery serpent, having 7 heads, or chiefs, and having 10 horns. It's very interesting to note that the number 17 is one of the most hated numbers in all of numerology. Very, very interesting to note. And there were also 7 crowns upon its head. And that number 17 has to do with seeking avarice and seeking money and being greedy and trying to steal and trying to cheat and trying to build yourself up financially in any way possible. Remind you of anything? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, like religion, which is what the Lord is all about. And he had on his head a crown, but see, this is one of the things that you have to learn to do what I'm doing to get into the Greek and the Hebrew so you can see things like this. In verse 1, we have on a crown, the woman, us, we have on a crown, which is a wreath with a natural connotation. Here, the Lord, I haven't proved it's the Lord yet, but this dragon has on its head a diadem, not a wreath. It's a diadem, which is a band across its head. Kind of makes you think a little bit of captivity and being a strong and ogre. And it certainly has the connotation of the wreath being natural and the band or the diadem being man-made. It reminds me of the hymn, break forth the royal diadem and crown him Lord of all. You can see why I'm not a singer. But you can see that whole boom, 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 you know, that the Lord has going on. And then versus the wreath and the nature. You know, I think of, you know, Robin Hood and Maid Miriam and Sherwood Forest when I think of wreaths. And I think of King James and the staunch religiosity when I think of diadem. And that's because that's what the words, you know, really do entail. And then in verse 4, the dragon used his tail and he drew the third part of the stars of the universe to earth. And it's very interesting to note that it didn't mean to the whole earth, but only to the dry land. So they didn't get thrown down into the sea. So he lured 1/3 of the stars of heaven or of the angelic realm. I wonder if he lured 1/3 of the Elohim, or did he just lure 1/3 of another class of beings to come down into bodies to partake with sexual relations with humanity, or to be conned into the place where they could, like Adam and Eve, move into a tree and know everything? Did he also run the same scam that he ran on humanity, on the Elohim, or beings of lower order that weren't able to manifest themselves physically in bodies? But at any rate, he tricked 1/3 of the stars of heaven and caused them to be cast out to the earth onto the dry land. He enslaved them. He stripped them of goods. And he caused them to be stricken and thrown down from heaven. And what was he trying to do? Devour the child as soon as it was born. The word devour means to enslave. The word devour means to eat like a dragon. The word devour means to strip of goods. So he was trying to enslave the offspring. He was trying to eat it up like a dragon. He was trying to strip it of goods. He was obviously trying to take our inheritance as Elohim. That's the reason he conned Adam and Eve into the trees, because he's a jealous God, just like he says. His heart tends towards envy, just like he says. He was jealous of the place humanity was given. And the Lord, Yahweh, he was just waiting for humanity to grow and spread so he could steal our birthright, which he has, to a great degree, been able to do to us and to do. It's just terrible. In the enslavement of consciousness of Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 and 27, he succeeded in enslaving us into bodies. And that's where we are. And then we come back in Revelation 12:5, and she, humanity, brought forth a man-child who was to rule the nations with a rod of iron, and that child was caught up to the gods and was caught up among the thrones. What I believe is that the Elohim responded. The Elohim saw Yahweh, the Lord, running this scam on people and enslaving them. So what they did was decided to birth someone who was going to come down and help us out. And it's very interesting. She was to bring forth a child. In the Greek, it's to bring forth a shepherd with a rod. Really, in Greek, it's with a wand. Bring forth a shepherd with a wand as strong as iron. Fascinating. You ever wonder why the Bible spends so much time warning against magic, warning against witches, warning against pagans, warning against days and months and times and seasons and years? Do you ever wonder why the Bible spends so much time warning us against our old faiths and our own religions? And I believe this is a direct showing that Yahushua came with a, and this is not being made up, with a wand as strong as iron, because he was using what they call magic to help us free ourselves from Yahweh. And after he did his work here on the earth, he went up to be among the thrones of the Els, because I believe he was an El. And then, since AD 40, we move into the next realm. But, you know, they talk about magic. Everything we do is magic. Law of attraction is magic. Prayer is magic. Healing is magic. Imagination is magic. They put a bad connotation on magic, but magic is just the use of your intention towards a desired result. So when you name it, claim it, brother. You're using magic. You're using your intention to get yourself that Cadillac. That's magic. But that, my friend, is black magic, because that's magic of the left-hand path of the greed. So don't think that we're not using magic. We are using magic. And Yahushua came with a wand, hello Harry Potter, as strong as iron. He came with some strong magic, some strong intention, some strong power, some strong virtue, some strong vibration, some strong harmonics, some strong frequency. And then he said, what I do, even greater things are you going to do. How strong's your wand, brother? How strong's your wand, sister? And then in verse number 6, humanity thus empowered by Yahushua, fled into the wilderness, sought safety. We sought safety in nature, in the wilderness, in the woods, in the trees, in the groves, in the places where those rat bastard controllers weren't. That's where we've gone to seek our gods, to seek our safety, to seek our right to worship. Man, this all makes sense, doesn't it? We fled into the wilderness, into the forest, into nature, into the place of preparation that the Elohim had given unto us, prepared for us. And it was a place of growth and nurturing. And we were sent there for 1,203 score days. That's 1,260. Numerically, I'm into numerology, and numerically 1,000 plus 260 equals full development, full realization, full understanding. So we were sent into the wilderness, among the trees, among nature, until we could get enough knowledge into us from Yahushua. How am I doing on time? Till we could get enough knowledge in us from Yahushua to be able to begin to move on our own. And when those 1,260 days, that time of fullness and development, were up, then we'd be ready to shake off the last of these bonds of religion. And brothers, sisters, I think it's about time. Can I get an amen? I think it's about time we're ready. I think our 1,260 days have just about passed. We've come to fullness. We've come to completion. We've come to full development, and we're ready to go forth. And it's time for that axe to be laid to the root of the trees, as we heard yesterday. And it's time for the fruit to spring forth. And interestingly enough, 1,260 days was also the amount of time that Yahushua actually ministered here on earth. So that gives us the picture of what Yahweh is trying to do, the Lord, and that gives us a picture of what the Elohim are trying to do. The Lord is trying to eat us up, strip us of our goods. He's trying to steal from us our possession, and he's trying to enslave us and eat us. Whereas the Elohim are trying to nurture us in nature till we can become into full development. Wow. Man, that is good stuff. And then we get to verse 7, and it's a flip back to Genesis 1:1 and 1:2. It shows us what happened in Genesis 1:1 and 1:2. How that paradisical earth that the Elohim created came to be in a destroyed nature by the Lord. And we begin to talk about how it happened. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels. Was Michael an Elohim? Is Michael a step down from the Elohim? Lots of great and interesting questions. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. Again, that dragon is a huge serpent. And Michael is a godlike one, by the way. So it was this huge serpent that fought against a godlike one and other godlike ones, and they prevailed not. Neither was there any place found again for them in the heavens. And you go back to Genesis chapter 2, verses 5 and 6, where the Lord tried again to destroy the earth. But nope, not going to do it this time. They were not strong enough, and they were cast out to the earth. And it reminds me of Jesus saying, I saw Satan, the dragon, the Lord, cast to heaven like lightning. And then Saul said, I saw Jesus come down from heaven like lightning. Very same word. Jesus says it was Satan and protects people from these stings of scorpions. This is on the website now, I believe, or it's in one of the other shows. Go back and look at it. Paul identifies it as Jesus and suffers his whole life with a scorpion sting in his side. Amazing stuff. So they were not able to overcome, and no more were they allowed to go up and mess with the Elohim in heavens. And the great dragon, in verse number 9, you hear me turning pages. This is very detailed and studious work. It's not hard. It just takes some time. The great serpent, the ancient one, the slanderer, the adversary. It reminds me of the movie of Constantine, where the devil comes down. He's wearing that white suit. And he's got that black stuff dripping out of him, just expertly done. And then the angel, who's supposed to be Michael, she starts throwing out names like this that we see here in verse 9. The great serpent, the ancient one, the slanderer, the adversary. And he so creepily and wonderfully says, I do so love the old names. But anyway, this great dragon, this old serpent, this devil, this Satan, who I believe is the Lord, Yahweh, which deceives the whole world. Literally, from the Greek, it means that he got the whole world off course. He led the whole world astray, was cast out into the earth, and all his angels were cast out with him. They were thrown down. He and all his messengers were thrown down. And then in verse number 10, again, going strictly, literally from the Greek, there was a universal proclamation that said, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom and the power of the anointed. That's not Christ. That word Christ, get it out of your mind. It's the anointed. For the accuser of the brethren is cast down, which accused them before our gods day and night. So here's what's happening. The final authority for us to be victorious over Yahweh has been granted. The work of Yahushua on earth, the work of Michael and the Els in heaven, has given us the authority, has broken the authority that our forefathers ceded to Yahweh when they went into those trees. And now, since that time, since, let's say it was after the ministry of Yahushua, to be conservative, there's a loud proclamation now, a universal proclamation, and even tonight there's a universal proclamation. Ever since Yahushua came into being, we now have, you and I, my friends, we have deliverance. And this is coming straight at you from the Greek. We have deliverance. We have prosperity. We have might. We have energy. We have sovereignty. And it's the deliverance, the prosperity, the might, the energy, the sovereignty of the Elohim. And it's been given to all of us, their anointed creations. And thrown down is the prosecutor, who whispers continually, you know, you'll never amount to anything. That prosecutor that whispers continually, you know, you're always going to be fat and people are going to laugh at you. That prosecutor that whispers continually, you know, you're never going to get a good job. You're never going to make enough money. And you better not start acting on what you believe, because what happens when everybody in the church throws you out? Then where are you going to go? Then what are you going to do? What's going to happen when it's just you? You're left all alone. And what happens if you're wrong and you wind up burning in hell forever and ever and ever, boiling and basting in your own juices forever? What's going to happen? He's been thrown down. You have every right to tell him to shut up and not listen to him anymore, just like Yahushua did. Get behind me and hush. Folks, it is beautiful, powerful, fantastic stuff. And then they throw in 11 and 12, which is garbage, trying to get us off the path. And then verse 13 comes up, because you can see 11 and 12 don't even follow in the narrative. It sticks out like a pile of dung amongst diamonds. See how easy it is to notice? We're talking about the dragon. We're talking about this great thing it's all following. Then all of a sudden, verses 11 and 12 thrown in there. They don't follow with the narrative. It's obviously not part of it. So you realize that, just like Thomas Jefferson said, it's super easy. You just move on to verse 13. And then the dragon, the Lord, saw that he was cast to earth, and he was pissed. And he is going out to persecute the woman, persecute humanity, and the sons of humanity. It's kind of symbolic language, poetic language is what I meant to say. He is coming out after us as we've flown into nature. He's chasing us. He's coming after us. And in verse 14, we flew into the wilderness again. We were given to go into nature to learn and know and fully develop. And what did the Lord do to try to come after us? In verse 15, the dragon, the Lord, out of his mouth, he spit out a big flood to carry away the woman. He spewed out a river of eloquence, is what it says in the Greek. A river of eloquence in an attempt to flood us and carry us away from our truth. What is a river of eloquence? It's teaching and talking and preaching. It's this Christianity message that's been bombarding us for 2,000 years. We're supposed to be out in nature, learning, growing, developing, coming to our completeness. And here's the Lord with this river. Drive down the road sometime and switch radio station to radio station. Well, glory to God, this is Brother Hendrickson bringing you the old-fashioned gospel. And then you go to another one. Well, glory to the heavens, this is Brother Samson tonight talking about how to overcome the devil. And then you click on over to another one. I say unto you, whoa, 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 says the Lord. It's a river. You turn on the TV. Preacher, 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 preacher. It's everywhere. It's a river. And it's meant to distract us, to flood us. It is a flood of lies. And what has happened? Again, verse 14. Verse 15. And then what happens in verse 16? The woman, our mother, the earth, opens up her mouth and helps swallow up the flood. It's our mother helping us. Our mother showing us. Our mother swallowing up the flood of lies. The earth helping us. The universe helping us. Psalm 19:1 showing that the earth and the creation displays and shows us the awesome majesty of our God and the awesome truth of our God. And folks, that's where we are. That's what we've been going through. That's what we are going through. That's what we're fighting through. And on tomorrow's show, we'll look at Revelation 13. And I'm going to try to get all the good new sounds put in together that Cliff gave me for tomorrow's show. As I'm actually sitting upright giving you this show. I'm not back at my broadcast microphone, but I am sitting upright now for 34 minutes. Thank the gods. So I've given you a lot to chew on. I've given you a lot to think about. Now remember, you can rewind, you can re-listen, and tell somebody about this, and ask yourself how you can help me spread this news that everybody needs to hear. Cliff's going to tell you how to get in touch with me on the way out, and until tomorrow night, this is Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower, wishing you peace and light.
Stay connected with the largest spiritual network on the planet, www.imnck.com. On Facebook, Jeffrey Daugherty and Jeffrey Daugherty Show. and on Twitter at NC Kabbalah. Visit imnck.com today and learn how to create yourself and live the life you'll love.